Welcome to another episode of Classic Dallas Cowboys Talk. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ is Lord. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Amen. Amen. Let's get into it. So, we are 3-7 now. We're 3-7. And I know fans are out there wanting to tank. I'm not one of them. And I don't think there is a player in that locker room that feels that way, that feels the way that the fans do. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's a single player in the Dallas Cowboy locker room that feels like tanking. And that's not the mentality of Micah Parsons. That's not the mentality of a DeMarcus Lawrence. It's not the mentality of a Trayvon Diggs. They want to win games. We want to win games, okay? And I'm sorry if the fans don't want to hear this, but I don't think the players want to tank. Period. They want to win games. They want to win games. The players want to win games. And I thought in the first half versus Houston, we were competitive. We were competitive in that first half. We did have some turnovers. Cavante Turpin did take it to the house. But I think in the second half, we really didn't compete, at least offensively. Turnovers. The defense played his heart out. Out of all the junk that has gone on throughout his season, DeMario Overshown is going to be a good one. Yeah, DeMario Overshown, he's going to be a good one. Yeah, and I think that's saying something when we all knew DeMario Overshown was going to be good. Okay, so the fact that he is one of the best players, if not the best player on our roster, next to Micah Parsons, is not surprising. But I see fans saying stuff like, now you know what kind of season you're having when Brendan Aubrey is considered your best player. Yeah, it's just been that heck kind of season, but again, I don't think the players have an attitude of tanking. I don't think the players want to tank. I don't think there's a single player in their locker room who wants to tank. And I just came across a quote where Micah Parsons said, "We are a damn good team." And I know fans are going to go into an uproar about that. What do you expect him to say? Okay, what do you expect him to say? Okay. Anyway, today's topic, Super Bowl 30 MVP, Mr. Larry Brown. Okay. So, he was a late round draft choice. I believe 12th round in the 1991 draft. He went to TCU. Okay. He went to training camp with the Cowboys. Okay. He went to training camp with the Cowboys, and he actually walked out of camp, believe it or not. Larry Brown actually walked out of the Cowboys camp because Larry Brown thought that he wasn't getting a chance to play. Larry Brown thought he wasn't getting enough of a chance in a training camp. But Larry eventually came back. He walked out of camp, came back, and was on the opening day Oster. And only Cowboy junkies will remember this. He was actually behind a guy by the name of Manny Hendricks, who had been there for a couple of years. So he was behind a guy named Manny Hendricks. So it was Isaac Holt and Manny Hendricks at the cornerback spot at the start of the 1991 season. But then 4 games into the 1991 season, Brown took that spot from Manny Hendricks. And that's where he stayed for the next 4 to 5 years. Okay. And had some pretty big plays. I can remember seeing the game where they played Philadelphia late in the 91 season. And he picked off a pass that was intended for Eagles wide receiver Fred Barnett. And so he also recovered a fumble. He also recovered a fumble versus the Giants early in the season. The Cowboys went on to win the game 21-16. But he had a pretty good rookie year and cemented his spot as a starter. Now, it was him and Isaac Holt for most of the 1991 season. And it was like that for halfway through the 92 season. That's when Kevin Smith came in and took Isaac Holt's spot because Isaac Holt was routinely getting beat. Okay. Isaac Holt was routinely getting beat by receivers. And so that's the reason why they drafted Kevin Smith in 1992. Isaac Holt was still the starter at the beginning of the year. But Kevin Smith eventually came in and took that spot in week 12. Okay. And so Larry Brown also had an interception in Super Bowl 27, yeah, Super Bowl 27. Yeah. He had an interception in Super Bowl 27. He picked off Jim Kelly. This is why I love it in the NFL films, okay? This is why I love NFL films, okay? NFL films has great sound of when they're playing the 49ers in the NFC Championship game in 1993, the rematch. Okay? Alvin Harper is standing on the sidelines and Larry Brown is right next to him. And Alvin Harper is like, y'all got Jerry out of his game. Y'all got Jerry out of his game. And so then Alvin Harper turned to Larry Brown and said, look at NFL films and tell them what you're doing to Jerry Rice. Look at NFL films, tell them what you're doing to Jerry Rice. And then Larry Brown said, I own Jerry Rice. Larry Brown said, I own Jerry Rice. And Alvin Harper is like, own him. And I know Larry Brown said that as a joke. Or maybe he really believed it. But I believe the Cowboys were up in that game 28-7 in that game. So yeah. When everything's going well and you're shutting down one of the greatest receivers ever to play the game, yeah, you're probably going to make statements like that. And people will remember. People forget. There was a pregame fight that took place before the NFC Championship game started. Okay, yeah, there was a pregame fight that took place before the championship game started, and not only that, Jerry Rice also picked up a personal foul penalty, okay, early in that game. And that all stemmed from the 49ers pregame fight, the Jerry Rice personal foul 15-yard penalty. That all stemmed from Jimmy Johnson saying, "We will win the ball game." And you can put it in 6-inch headlines. And Jimmy said that obviously irritated the 49ers because I just mentioned a pregame fight that took place and the personal foul penalty that Jerry Rice picked up. Okay. And so I can recall Emmitt Smith saying about Jimmy's comments. He said, "Well, Jimmy, looks like your mouth wrote a check. We're going to have to cash it." And so then NFL Films has more great sound of Larry Brown turning around and looking at NFL Films and said, "Jimmy said, win one, win the game." And then Kenny Gant was like, hey, 6-inch bold headers. So, yeah. Also Larry Brown was dealing with some personal stuff off the field. He had a daughter who was born premature early. In 1993, his daughter recovered and was doing well. But 1994 may have been his worst year as a cowboy. Okay, he was starting to look a little bit like Isaac Holt. Okay, he was getting beat, and I think the 49ers clearly remember what Larry Brown said in the NFC Championship game, because in the regular season rematch between the 49ers and the Cowboys at Candlestick Park, Jerry Rice caught a touchdown over Larry Brown. Okay. And in the 94 NFC Championship game, Jerry Rice also caught another touchdown against Larry Brown. Okay. And so 94 was probably his toughest year. He came back strong in 95. That's the year they signed Deion Sanders. So it was thought that when they signed Deion Sanders, Larry Brown would be on the bench. But Kevin Smith tore his ACL first game of the year. And now it was Brown and Sanders as a cornerback tandem. He did pick off a pass against Philadelphia in 95. The 4th and 1 in Philly. Oh, Lord have mercy. 4th and 1 in Philly. My goodness. Despite that, Larry Brown took a pick six to the house in that game. And he also had a clutch interception of Brett Favre in the 95 NFC Championship game. Okay. That set up an Emmitt Smith touchdown that sent the Cowboys back to the Super Bowl. And he was dealing with more personal heartbreak off the field, because when they had another child, he and his wife, there were some complications, and his child ended up dying. And he talked about it. And the book Boys Will Be Boys, he said, when you have to make a decision to end your child's life. Yeah. So he came back to play against the Raiders. He came back to play in the game against the Raiders. And I know some of the Cowboy players, they were they had a pre-game prayer for Larry Brown, um, and so I believe the funeral was the same week of the Raiders game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and so through all that, he still persevered. He still persevered. He still persevered, and the cherry on the top was Super Bowl 30 when he intercepted Neil O'Donnell twice, and and also teammates also said that Larry Brown had bad hands. Okay, players like Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin will often rag on Larry about his hands. And Larry talked about it. Larry said, "My hands were so bad that as a rookie, they called me Edward Scissor Hands." Okay, so then Daryl Johnston was like, he couldn't catch nothing in practice, but yet somehow he had his best games against on the biggest stage against the best players. Okay, so and so in writing in reading Boys Will Be Boys, in reading Boys Will Be Boys, Neil O'Donnell threw the first interception to Larry Brown. Okay, he threw the first interception, but the Steelers recovered. They scored a touchdown, recovered an onside kick. Um, um, and they were driving down for another score. Okay, and Steeler players said that Neil O'Donnell's eyes were like as if his eyes were wide, as if to say, "I'm really nervous." And NBC had that great shot because NBC was on the Super Bowl call that year. NBC had that great shot of Neil O'Donnell's eyes, just like his eyes were like big, blow up. And he eventually threw it to Larry Brown again, which set up Emmitt Smith's game-winning touchdown. Super Bowl MVP. After all the stuff he went through, that's pretty much the cherry on the top. Now, he turned that into a big contract when he went to the Raiders for the 1996 season. But Larry Brown is more of a zone guy. Larry Brown is more of a zone defender type of guy. And anybody who has basic knowledge of the Raiders knows historically they are a man-to-man team. Defensively, they are man-to-man. And man-to-man is really not his strong suit. So yeah. Eventually came back to the Cowboys to finish out his career. But yeah. Super Bowl 30 MVP. Larry Brown. Well deserved. Earned. Alright. That's it. That's all. For Classic Dallas Cowboys Talk, I am Sean Farrell. God is great. Jesus Christ is Lord. Be blessed, y'all. How about them Cowboys?